The Boston Celtics vow to play physical, and Payton Pritchard has the scars to prove it. Plus, Joe Mazzulla explains the spike ball thing, and it is great. You'll hear it right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Beantown, be ever ready. It's the C's. Who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT, Karalis. Recap the madness every game, every practice. Primetime Depp and D White on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising business, how we finished. Locked On Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast. It's right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Your team is the Boston Celtics, and I talk about them every Monday through Friday. Bonus podcast when they play on the weekends, and just bunch of free podcasts for you wherever you get your podcasts. It's on YouTube. You can watch the show if you'd like. You can get into the comment section there and share your thoughts with your fellow Celtics fans. Become an everyday or join me every day of this regular season. Like I said, every show is free, and it's a lot of fun, I hope, for you, and maybe educational too. I'm John Karalis, beat writer for Boston Sports Journal. I've been doing a version of this job for about 20 years now. I've also written a couple of books about the team. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Download that FanDuel app right now. If you're a new customer, you can bet $5. And if that bet wins, you get 300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Lots from the weekend of practices in this show. Later on, well, first of all, I just want to say this team is extraordinarily likable, I think, and that's going to be something I expand on in the third segment. The second segment I'm going to dedicate to the spike ball and Joe Mazzulla's explanation of why the Celtics have started recent practices with a spike ball tournament. And listen, we talked about it last week with Tom, and I expressed my I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very translatable skill-wise. Joe dives really deep. You're going to want to hear everything that he said about it. That's in the second segment. But I want to start here with Payton Pritchard and playing physical. The Celtics are going to be a physical team this year, and they're going to play fast. They're going to play physical. They're going to play a style that I think you're going to enjoy. Now, I got to share this picture. Now, I'm sorry for people who are listening. Maybe you can get onto the YouTube page later. I'll describe it, but I got to share this picture on YouTube of Payton Pritchard with this cut on his neck. It's on the left side of his neck. I'll describe it. It looks like someone took like a fingernail-sized chunk out of his neck. And if you're watching on YouTube, that's not blood that's going down his neck. That's a continuation of the scratch. So someone got after it, took a divot. Sorry if that's gross to people, but took a divot out of his neck and continued that. It reminds me of who was it on the Pistons? I'm drawing a blank, that had always played with long fingernails. It was like, I don't know, somebody needs to clip their fingernails there. So we were at practice on Saturday, and I saw that. We were talking about other stuff, just generic stuff. I saw that, and I asked Pritchard, I was like, who took a divot out of your neck? Here's the whole thing. Now, I didn't have a mic on me, so I try to have you listen to some of my questions. It's a little tough to hear my questions, but here's Payton Pritchard's exchange. This turned into a whole big conversation about the Celtics wanting to play physical. You caught your neck today.
No, that was yesterday, but it's been very physical, so it's definitely been a war out there. I am tired, but it's good to push the body to these limits to get ready for the season, so definitely pushing ourselves.
You guys talk about physical. What's that like?
What's it like being physical?
No, I mean, just to what level is it going on?
It's just, I mean, you see OKC and them who won the championship, they get away with a lot of hands, fouls, physicality, stuff like that. So the NBA, I feel like in the playoffs is allowing a lot more physicality to happen. But we got to learn how to play through it and be more physical. So we're emphasizing it, and it's been good.
That physicality, they're not afraid to foul.
Yeah, for sure. So we got to have that.
Yeah, like you're not a player that has committed many fouls at all. Are you like more willing to kind of get in there and maybe take a couple to kind of push the limits of that physicality?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you get 6 fouls, but it's just a different emphasis. Like before, we were playing more of a safe defense of like switching, live with contested shots, don't foul, don't put people to the free throw line. But that's kind of changed. The NBA evolves every year, so you got to change your game with it. So it worked for us when we won the championship. So it didn't work for us as much last year. So we got to evolve.
Have you gotten a sense that like things are being called differently at all this year? Like I know the refs have been around a lot. Are you guys trying to play?
No, we don't know that yet. I feel like that just comes when you play through the season and things change. Maybe they start calling different calls, but right now we're just trying to emphasize pace and physicality.
So in terms of like ramping up playoff, you're talking about like playoff level physicality, bring that from the start of the season.
For sure.
Essentially not waiting until the playoffs out.
I'd rather play very physical and fast like that, and then if they start making calls, then we have to change through that, rather than like not doing it and then they're not calling. You know what I mean? Like let's start off with playing physical, and then we can make adjustments off that.
I thought it was interesting that he talked about playing that safe defense last season, and you got to push and be more intense and be willing to take a couple of fouls. It's something I've talked about here on this podcast before, where Pritchard, especially, one of the stats I want to see from Pritchard is a couple more fouls per game, so he can get in there and get handsy and be physical. I'm glad that element from over the summer is something that is being emphasized this year, where yes, you got to get in there, and you can't be afraid to, hey, if they call a foul, they call a foul, but you got to set a tone. You got to set a tone to go. When he brought up the OKC thing, I thought it was very a great comparison, just because they were not afraid to foul last year, and they played some really great defense, and they definitely test the limits of you can't call them all, right? That's when we saw the Celtics last year beat the tar out of OKC in one half and then fall apart in the second half. That defense really, really ramped up. That was an incredible defensive effort and super physical. And we saw it in that Orlando series. And the league, I'm sure, is always trying to find that balance of like, how much do you allow the league to be, physical and aggressive and to have good competition versus, okay, we can't let them just clothesline people. This can't be a WWE match. But the Celtics need to find that line every game. Don't be afraid early on to test the limits, see what they're calling, see what you can get away with. That physical defense is going to be part of them taking chances, part of them forcing turnovers. There's just no way you're going to get in there and force as many turnovers as the Celtics need to force without getting your hands dirty, without getting in there and reaching and knocking people off their path a little bit. You got to give people, you got to tag when they run a pick and roll. You got to get in there and jostle, put not just a hand, you got to get a forearm in there on that roll, man. You got to really disrupt the timing of things. You can't do what the Celtics did last year with this team. The safe defense, I understand that, because the Celtics were a really good defensive team, because you could play it safe, so to speak, with Derek White and Drew Holiday and Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, guys that can get up and contest shots. You did generally a good job of squaring up, and like not all the time there, or especially early in the season, but you can, trust those guys when you need to square up and get a good contest and not be reckless in all of that. And you have rim protectors. You had Porzingis, you had Horford, you had, Keita coming off the bench. Luke Cornett was a good rim protector. You had all of these options there to protect you. So you could play it kind of safe and just live with the contested shots, rebound the hell out of the ball, and go. This year's team, you can't do that because you're not going to rebound as well. This team's just not going to rebound as well. They're going to need to find ways to rebound as well as they can, but it's just not going to be the same. So you have to get in there and be physical. You have to get in there and be willing to, hey, okay, reach and foul. Oh, well, not a big deal. As long as you're doing it, you understand time score situation, you're reaching in, you're trying to knock the ball free, but they're not in the bonus. You don't do it when they're in the bonus. You don't do it. Like if you're up, you don't need to do it quite as much. Like if you're building a lead, if the momentum is building towards a lead, you don't want to give a stupid foul. Like this is going to be the real tough part about the defense that they're going to play. These guys have to be smart about their physicality. You can't give up dumb fouls. You have to be willing to take one. This is the old Ime Udoka kind of strategy. Remember when Derek White came over and Ime was like, you got to be willing, it's okay to take one here or there. You got to get back to that. And I think that's where the Celtics are going to go this year. Playing fast and physical defense, it's kind of going to go hand in hand. So real interesting stuff from Pritchard, especially, like that thing was bad, man, on his neck. That was kind of gross. It looks like he almost got his carotid artery over there, man. That was like, kind of, wow. He never answered my question, by the way. If you notice, he never answered my question about who got him. So I still don't know who got him. But anyway, we'll get more into like physical and all of that because this preseason games are starting up this week. We're going to see how physical they're going to be, but that's definitely going to be a running theme all year. When I come back, Joe Mazzulla talks spike ball. I just love this answer. I had to go back. Yes, I'm doing 2 segments on spike ball, but it's so interesting to me. I feel like I got to share it. That is coming up next. Today's show is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus. It's powered by Peloton IQ, and it's their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors. This is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. The Peloton IQ system offers real-time strength coaching. It actually tracks your reps. It suggests the right weights, and it corrects your form, making every rep safer and smarter, and that's how you get your gains. The swivel screen is a game changer because you can go from running on the Tread Plus to strength training without missing a beat. And the personalized class recommendations keep you engaged. You get workouts tailored to your vibe and your energy level each week. That's what makes you want to keep coming back. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Josh Lloyd, it's the #1 fantasy basketball podcast in all of existence, anywhere in the universe, in the multiverse, giving you daily tips and helping you win your league, all while making you a smarter NBA fan. Find Locked On Fantasy Basketball on YouTube or wherever you found this podcast. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Like I got into it last week with Tom Westerholm about spike ball. I really liked that they were playing it. It's just another Joe Mazzulla unique thing where, as I said last week, he had the baton toss. I mean, not the baton toss, the baton handoff, because he was trying to emphasize how in a relay race, you could be fast, but if you're not doing the little things, you're going to, you could fail and lose. And it was obviously kind of prescient, actually, but he's always getting creative in how to emphasize that season's talking point, the main thing that the Celtics are going to do. So we turned to spike ball, and I thought, wow, this is great. And I hadn't had at that point a chance to ask him about it. And so here it is. Again, same thing. My questions in between might be a little hard to understand. I think you'll get the gist of it. But here's Joe's full explanation about why spike ball.
I think it's the closest thing to a 2-on-2 situation that you have to communicate. It's a read. You have to read the angle of where it's being put at. You have to read the angle of your teammate. You have to be able to get through it. It's a 2-on-2 situation. So that's a lot of what the game is. You're in 2-on-2, 3-on-3 situations. Very rarely are you in a 5-on-5 situation. Maybe if you're switching everything at the end of the game, but the game is a constant ecosystem of small 2-on-2s, 3-on-3s, and being able to create those an advantage and a disadvantage. So those 2-on-2 games create that. They test your reaction time. They test your ability to communicate. They test your ability to create angles. So I think those things it's another way to simulate what you're going through on every possession of the game.
Did you settle on that? How did you, what did you wake up one day and say, spike ball's going to be the way we're going to...
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at, soccer, for example, they have their rondos, which is 4-on-3. That's probably one of the easiest. Rondos in soccer is one of the easiest ways to create a bunch of different stuff. Game-like situations, joy, teamwork, different situations, whether it's offensively or defensively. So you can't really do that because most of our guys are probably inept from a soccer standpoint, but I think spike ball is the next closest thing to a rondo-type situation that you could be able to do. So how many other ways we could test the communication and the reads of everything that's going on in the game, we try to find ways to do that.
Did you assign the 2-on-2 teams, or you guys just pick them?
Our strength staff does a great job of helping come up with that. So they kind of take ownership of the warm-up stuff, and so they have a lot of other good ideas, and then they do a lot of the team stuff too. Because they're important because they see individual dynamics when there's 8 guys lifting in the weight room every day. So they have a good understanding of what interactions with the guys are, and who needs to be around each other, and who flocks to each other, and who that. So we rely on the strength staff a lot to kind of see what the dynamics of the team are when it's not just on the court, because I think that's important.
That last part is really the most brilliant part of it all, that Joe relies on his strength staff and the assistant coaches and all of that. But in this case, the strength staff, he's asking them who's lifting together, what combinations do we need to, emphasize, blah, blah, blah. And so you not only have, spike ball's fun, and yeah, it's translatable and all of that stuff. You have the pairing of certain guys specifically based on what you've already seen through a lot of these guys have been here for 3-4 weeks before training camp officially started. So you're seeing who's talking to one another, who might need to talk to one another, who's got the good communication, who has the bad communication. How do you enhance that? That's all part of it. And so spike ball is a small little thing, right? It's not like they're going to play spike ball every day for all season and I'm making a huge deal of it. No, I mean, this is the second segment because, it's not the physical play and all of that stuff. The actual basketball is the most important thing. But these little things, first of all, it brings out the competitive juices. Guys want to win. You put a score and a time on something, guys are going to want to win that thing. At that level, it doesn't matter what it is. Running to the bathroom, eating, getting through lunch. If somehow it's scored and timed, these guys want to win it. Forcing that competitive nature, like winning is above all else. And so if it's a person you haven't talked to, well, guess what? You're gonna have to talk to this guy now. And that just chemistry, communication, understanding, talking to one another, figuring out the other team's strategy, right? You're playing against, I forget what the lineup was. Was it Pritchard and I forget who, but what do they like to do? And you're figuring it out in real time. Okay, these guys like to do this. They like to go with a little soft toss here, or they really like to spike it. And so you communicate, you learn things, and you figure all of that stuff is exactly the same as basketball. And so that whole concept for Mazzulla to take soccer drills, the rondos, as they're called, which is like he said, a 4-on-3, it creates a disadvantage. It's like a game of keep away. To turn that, and he's like, well, what can we do to mimic that? And to settle on spike ball, that I don't know if my brain could ever have gotten to that part. But I think it's like an early bit of genius from him and the coaching staff and everybody to say, okay, what do we need to emphasize here? The 2-on-2s, the 3s-on-3s, and all of that. Okay, how do we do it? How do we get these guys playing together? And it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the beginning of practice, and then you take that and you run with it. That stuff, that little bit is what's going to make this team just that little bit better. Think of it as a video game, right? Where you accomplish a task and it gets you 5%, it gets you an XP, right? And you level up a little bit, right? And that's kind of the same concept here. Is it a big thing? No, but man, he's earning these guys, a bit of XP here, right? He's earning these guys points, and it pushes them towards leveling up a little bit. For a team that on paper, I question the talent on paper. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure where this team is going to land. How do you exceed those expectations? When I sit there and I say 41, 42, 43 wins, how do you exceed those expectations? By getting guys to communicate really, really well, playing fast, playing physical, getting them all on the same page, all doing the same thing, accomplishing the same goal. The effort is going to win you a couple of games. Execution is going to win you a couple of games. If I think the talent is going to be 41 wins, let's say, okay, well, you can tack on maybe 2 or 3 to, based on effort. And you can tack on maybe 2 or 3 based on execution. And maybe you tack on 2 or 3 for coaching. Well, you're 2, 4, 6. Well, now you're at 47. There's things have to go right. But you take that baseline of talent and you go, okay, well, you add a couple here and a couple there, and 45 wins is not out of the question. 46 wins, 47 wins, not out of the question. 50, I think, is pushing it, and that's a best case scenario. Obviously possible, but the more you look at this team and go, okay, there's a real strong exceeding expectations potential for this team now that I see it in action, which makes this team very likable already to me. Let me get into that and why I think this is going to be a season where we're all going to enjoy one way or the other. I'll talk about that next. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here. FanDuel has an offer you cannot miss. New customers, you bet just $5 and you get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Just pick a bet, put down $5. If it hits, you unlock $300 in bonus bets. You can use it across the app to bet on just about anything that you want. They give you so many different ways to play. You can build a parlay. You can do player props. You can do live lines during a game. So if the Celtics are going and somebody's up or down by 20 in the first half and you think this lead's going to grow, it's going to shrink, you can bet on the live line as the game is going on. So that's, an interesting way to kind of stay engaged so you can make the games just a little bit more exciting, whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats. FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So go check it out. When you sign up, take advantage of their budgeting tools so you can set your limits, set your spending, and make sure you're only betting where you can afford to lose. Gamble responsibly. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA, Locked On NBA Game Night. I host Game Night on Wednesdays with Jake Madison. Game Night's going to have all the games covered. Now that we're in preseason, there's going to be a lot of preseason games to cover. Once the games really start, we're covering them every day, 7 days a week on Game Night. And then in the afternoons, we're talking about the big stories, the big picture on the Locked On NBA afternoon show. So go check those out wherever you found this podcast. So I've been building up to this opinion that I'm starting to feel about this team, right? So we have a summer where they lose Tatum to the injury. They make the moves that they've made. They bring in a front court that you look at and you go, I don't know. Look, some of you have faith in them. We'll see. I'm not sure how good they're going to be, but we'll have to see how they progress. But okay, so all summer I look at just without any context, like, all right, here's the roster, here's what I can expect, and I'm like, mediocre team, right? It's a middle of the road team. It's not a top 2 seed. It's probably a 5 or 6 seed. And then you start to see, like, I want to see, what are they doing? How do they look at practice? How do they? And I don't get to see much of practice, but you see like the videos, and the social team's going to put out, all positive stuff, but you start to look at it like, okay, I get this. I see what they're doing. You hear everybody talk about, oh my God, this is a tough practice. The emphasis on speed and transition, it's all transition, and then physical, and just the way the guys are talking about what they need to do. And you say, okay, if everybody's buying in, like Pritchard is not going to lie. He might omit things, but he's out there. I asked him simply, who got your neck? That's it. And he's the one that was like, this is physical. You heard it. This is physical and I'm tired and this is great. And then so like, oh, okay, there's the open door. Let's go through that. And, he asked Joe about it and he, explained some more and whatever. I can see the potential. I can see the potential for this team kind of exceeding expectations. I can see the potential for this team to, as long as they stay healthy, and this is the important thing, the one thing about this roster construction is that it does leave kind of no room for error. Maybe Anthony Simons can step into, assuming that he's going to come off the bench, he can step into a starting role for somebody, but that does leave a big scoring punch, like a need for that off the bench. So regardless, I just don't think this team has a lot of room for like a margin for error. So if somebody gets hurt or something like that, that's going to be tough to recover from. But I really feel like the effort is going to be there. The effort to be the fast team, the effort to be the physical team, to kind of try to replicate what the Thunder were able to do and take the lessons of, well, that's the team that won the championship and the team that really, really softened them up for the Knicks, the Orlando Magic. Like, look at what happened in the playoffs. The Pistons beat the tar out of the New York Knicks. The Knicks survived that series and came into Boston like, feeling like, yeah, we're okay. We get it. We get it now. We've been punched in the face and we understand it now. And the Celtics got punched in the face by the Magic and were like just worn down. And it really leveled the playing field in that second round. So the Celtics understand that. It's like, well, we just got, really out physicaled. We really got worn down. And the team that played super physical defense won the NBA championship. And depth and speed was what got two teams to the NBA finals. It all adds up. It all adds up. You look at how rosters are going to be constructed in the second apron era. You look at all that stuff and you say, okay, it's going to take effort and really precise execution, a real focus to be like, okay, this is what we're trying to do. Everybody on the floor has to be on the same page, knowing what you're trying to do. If anybody's a little slow, if anybody's not sure, that player can't be on the floor. You have to be precise and put that effort in. I think this team is going to do that. I think they have the guys. There's the right mix of like Jaylen Brown as the vet, who has something to prove still as the number one guy. Guys like Pritchard and Hauser, who have something to prove as starters, presumably. Derek White, who has something to prove as a guy who's like, hey, are we sure your success wasn't because of Kristaps Porzingis and Jayson Tatum? Are we sure about that? Like, I feel pretty good about that, but a little something to prove. Josh Minot with a ton to prove. He's trying to stay in the league. Anthony Simons with a ton to prove. Joe Mazzulla is on him constantly about his defense. Everybody's got like experience, but also something to prove. And the way they're going to play, I think it's just going to be fun. I think this is going to be a fun team. There's going to be a lot of evaluation. There are going to be a lot of games where maybe they don't pull it out. They don't have the talent. Talent trumps all. And so they're not going to be as good as they were. They're probably not going to make a deep playoff run. I don't expect that. But the potential, like I said before, the potential to overachieve, I think is there. I think it's there. And that's going to make this team very likable. I think however this season ends, by the time we get to the end of it, whenever it ends, however it ends, we can look back on this season. I think we're going to look back on the season and go, you know what? That was kind of fun. That was kind of fun. So we'll see how it goes. But look, we got a couple of preseason games coming up this week. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I can't wait to see it in action. That's going to be, I think, the best part. Seeing it in action, seeing what kind of mistakes are being made, seeing how they're going to figure things out. So stick with me. I will break it all down. I will be here for you. My honest opinions, and we'll ride the ups and downs together daily, Monday through Friday. The show is always free. It's always on YouTube, so you can go check it out there. Would really love to have you along there. Get into the comment section. Share your thoughts with me. Share your thoughts with your fellow everydayers, the Celtics fans who are here Monday through Friday, plus on the bonus podcast weekends when they play on the weekends. And then please tell everybody, share the podcast. Tell everybody about this show. Tell them they should be listening. Tell them they should be watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.